It's about 6:45 p.m. on Saturday, May 6th, 2023. I've just moved them to the next cell on this fifth section of this rotation. They were lined up ready to move. Looks like they know the drill now. It's about 80 something degrees. There's a nice breeze blowing from the south. Sunny, the sun is burning. Excuse me. You can see as I'm going through the field, there's quite a diverse selection of animals, and plants for the animals to feed on. It's quite a bit different than other parts of my pasture. When I was setting up the wire over on the west side there, no, the east side, the grass was tall. Sorry, that ram put his nose in the air. What are you doing, ram? That is some strange behavior. The ram is smelling the heifer. Put his nose in the air. Anyway, it's pretty much ryegrass over there, up past my knees, very deep and thick. But then in the middle part of this section, it thins out quite a bit. There's a lot of dry spots like here. There's a dry spot right there. There's different plants growing here, like all kinds of different plants I've never seen before. Like this stuff. What is this? What is that? Huh. One of these days I'm gonna bring a biologist out here, somebody who studies pasture plants, and just sit down and go with them over every single plant in the pasture. Have them tell me what it is and tell me all about it. I'll write a book called The Plants I Found in My Pasture in Northeast Texas or something like that. If there was such a book, I'd buy it. I'd read it every night to go to sleep. I'd love to learn about all the different plants that are growing in my pasture. There's Blue's bull on the left, Blue's bull calf. I think he was 16. The tag came out. That's 413 on the right. One of my commentators asked about rain and the cows in that video where I said, ask me stupid cow questions. Yeah, so a lot of people think you need a barn for wild animals, for domesticated animals. And there are some animals that don't do well in the rain. Goats, for instance. My friend who raises goats says goats melt in the rain like candy. They just don't do well. Cows do very well in the rain and inclement weather. They're very well adapted to hotter weather than we can stand and colder weather, right? And they have instincts to do things in the weather to protect themselves. As long as the cow can stay dry, they can stay warm, you know. It's when they get wet and cold that problems start to arise. And typically they have a nice thick fur coat on in the winter when it rains and gets cold, and the rain just, you know, comes off of them right away, or they get a little damp, but their undercoat doesn't get wet. And they shed that fur in the spring, and they have a summer coat where it's a lot thinner, and they grow the coat back for the winter and stuff like that. But they do very well outside. These are animals, cows are animals that you don't need to build a barn for. Even people in North Dakota, I believe Gabe Newell, I could be wrong, but he does rotational grazing up in North Dakota, and I think he grows corn as well, and some other things, using, you know, older techniques that don't involve massive amounts of fertilizer and stuff like that. But his cows, in the winter, I think he says he has to put them where there are trees or brush so they can take shelter from the wind. The wind might hurt them if they're out in the middle of nowhere, but they will clump together also. they'll come side to side together and you know, share each other's warmth to stay warm and survive the very cold weather. Buffalo, bison out in the Great Plains can survive bitterly cold winters. As you might know, there's no mountains between here and the North Pole. If I got in a car and started driving north, I'd be able to reach the North Pole without crossing any major mountain ranges. So if the weather does it, then we'll get a cold blast straight from the Arctic. And here we don't get as cold, but in other parts of the country it can get very, very cold. -40, -50. So it's possible to drop below zero here. And it probably has in the past, but it's not typical. Anyway, that's kind of the story there. So cows do well in the weather. In the heat, that's the problem that we tend to worry about. They will seek shelter in the trees and the shade. Cows could sweat. They get wet fur. That's how they keep cool. They also drink lots of water. So in the heat, I need to make sure they have plenty of water. Yellow, don't you mind being touched? So just give them plenty of water. Give them plenty of shade. So some farmers in the extreme heat, they might use a mister to spray water in the air to keep them cool. But between the shade and the water, they should be able to keep cool in pretty much any weather. So, and I looked at actually, you know, purchasing mobile shade for the cows, and it's just so expensive. It's not worth the price. You just plant some trees, you know. And on my property, I got lots of trees the cows can take shelter in. Like if I found out that we're going to have 110-degree weather tomorrow, I would open up the forest there, allow them access to it. They'd probably graze it down, but they'll come out they'll come out before the sun comes up, and they'll go out after the sun goes down to do grazing. So they'll adapt for the weather. That's nice. So I'm not too worried about the weather and the cows. You shouldn't be either. Somebody once commented on a video with my puppies that I got from Wyoming. They came from weather that was -40, right? Let's see if it'll zoom in on it. You gonna zoom in on it? Here. Let's zoom on it. Zoom, zoom, zoom. Come on. What if I did like this? No, it's not gonna do it. Let me put it on the ground then. There. Now it'll zoom in on it. Yeah, that's what the plant looks like, but I don't know what it is. Anyway, the dogs came from that cold temperature down to here, which was like near freezing, like 45. It rained, the dogs got wet. They looked miserable, but they were panting. They were panting because their winter coat was so thick, and the outside of their coat was wet, but inside they were dry and warm, and they were used to much colder weather. And so those puppies were having the time of their lives, enjoying temperatures above freezing. And so animals are not like humans. We don't have fur. You know, look at my arm. What do I have? Just a little bit of hair. That's not enough for anything. You know, it doesn't protect me from the sun, it doesn't protect me from the cold, it doesn't protect me from the rain. That's why we have to wear clothing. You know, if we don't do that, we would be able to only go outside on you know, probably between the 60s and the 80s. Even like hotter temperatures, you need to wear clothing to cool off. Like right now, I'm sweating in my clothing. It's all cotton, and the wind is blowing, and I'm cooling off. You know, I'm a little bit chilly actually. So that breeze is really nice. Once you start sweating and you're wearing clothing, you cool off pretty quick. Anyway, guys, that's all I got for you today. I'm gonna move in tomorrow, do a double move, because we won't be back in the evening. And then one more move in this section on Monday morning. And then Monday evening, they are going to the next and last section of this rotation. Thanks for watching. Have a great day, and bye-bye.